All right. Hello, everyone. This is Shelly and CJ, Coffee, Anxiety, and Love, HHR Indigenous Arts, Luna Fitness, Evo, all that good stuff. We are here in the trailer. We are in South Dakota. We are at Rocky Point Recreational Area. Literally, we are the only people here. We got this entire park to ourselves. It is so beautiful. It's right off of a lake. I did post pictures earlier of what this place looks like. It's just incredible here in South Dakota. Yeah, but today, since we have some time and we're kind of caught up on cleaning and cooking and doing all that good stuff, we wanted to go ahead and get this video done and out of the way, because I think it needs to be done sooner than later before we forget all the stuff that we need to be doing. But yeah, we wanted to talk about the beet harvest. So as you guys know, if you've been following, we did the 2025 North Dakota beet harvest. So we drove from Moore, Texas, all the way up to North Dakota in about, what, 6 days? 5-6 days?
Did we leave Sunday or Monday?
We left Monday.
Monday, and we got down there Friday.
So yeah, it
5 days.
Yeah, it took about 5 days to get to North Dakota. Now, number one, it may not have taken us that long had we had a better setup on our rig. We don't have like that stabilizer towing hitch, which we are getting. So we kind of took it really, really slow coming up here, about 50-55 miles an hour. The good thing was the weather was good, and you know, we stayed at different parks along the way, which was really, really nice. We first stopped in Oklahoma to visit his best friend Weston. Stayed there for a night. You know, looked around their property. They had a very beautiful property, so we kind of went, you know, looking around a little bit. And then we went up to Kansas, Nebraska. Just not much there. That's all I can say. Not much there. And then we got to South Dakota. We stayed in a very nice park in South Dakota. And there too, we were kind of like just about the only people there. I think there was like maybe 3 people there at max. One other RV and then some people in a cabin. And that was it. We pretty much had that park to ourselves for a little while as well. But yeah, South Dakota was beautiful. And that's where we are right now, South Dakota again. And we are on the west side of South Dakota. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We started on the east side and now we're on the west side, and it's just a beautiful state. I don't know what else to say. It's very beautiful. I don't know how we would do in the winter time, the actual winter, but right now it's very, very pretty. So and then we headed up to North Dakota. We got North Dakota on Friday morning, afternoon, kind of early afternoon. We didn't have to start working and report there until Monday, so we actually called the campground where they had us, the beet harvest people, Express Employment had us reserve that from Monday on to whenever we completed our assignment. We lucked out and our spot was available, so we were able to get in our spot that we were supposed to be reserved for on Monday. Of course, you have to pay for your own time there before and after, but we got there early Friday. So we paid Friday, Saturday, Sunday to be there. Starting Monday, that actually started our assignment. So they started paying from that point forward until we completed October 29th. Yeah, we left Wednesday, Thursday, we completed the 29th, but we didn't leave until Thursday. Yeah. We left Thursday. So yeah, that's kind of how that went. And like I said, with the beet harvest, Express Employment is who hires you. It's a temp agency. They're the ones who hire you to start working at the beet harvest, whichever one you're doing, North Dakota, Minnesota, or Michigan. And for the duration of the time that you are working the beet harvest, Express is paying your stay at a campsite. So the deal there is, you have to have a self-sustaining camper. You have to have water. You have to have electricity, propane, all that good stuff. And then whoever is going to be working the beet harvest should be with you. They're not, I don't think they're paying for anybody extra. So if you have extra people with you, you may have to pay for that part of it. I don't know. But they are only paying for those people that are working. So as long as if there's 2 people, like we were a couple in our one RV, As long as everybody's working, they're paying for that site. So that's how that works. But yeah, starting the beet harvest, we did do some research. We did look around at other videos of people doing the beet harvest from years before. There really wasn't anything too recent. I think the last one that was posted was like 2022. I didn't see anybody anytime after that do 23 or 25. So we went, with what was there and what we had, the information we had, and I just wish we would have known a lot more before we got there. We would have prepped a lot better. Number one, we were going up there with not a lot of savings or funds, just enough to get us by, get us up there, and take care of us for a couple of weeks, food-wise, financial-wise, all that. So it would have been nice to know a little bit more detail on what you need to get out there. Number one, they do tell you about clothes and footwear and things like that, and what you need to be prepared for going out there to work in that time. And October, it's not very, very cold, but October is the time where it's getting cold. So there are days where it's very extremely windy. We endured gusts of 35, 40 miles an hour. They have rain. They don't have thunderstorms. They have rain that lasts the entire day. So if it starts raining at 8 o'clock in the morning, most likely you're not done with the rain until 10, 11 o'clock at night. So, and it's a steady rain all day. So you're stuck in your trailer all day. We went up there with the mindset that we're going to take we're artists. So we're taking our vending stuff, and we're going to have that out there, and we're going to be working on our vending stuff. And I took my arts and crafts stuff, my colors, my paints. I'm going to be working on my beadwork, all this other stuff. And honestly, that was the big blow that we had. When we first got there, the first about week, the weather was nice. We walked around. It's a beautiful park that we were at. We were in Grafton. And we had about a 20-30 minute drive to get to Drayton, where we were working. Other people that were there at Grafton, they were either working at Grafton location or the St. Thomas location, which was either way 10-12 minutes. Okay, but we went there with the intent to work, to nap, to create, to settle and do some stuff. There was absolutely no time for anything extra. Absolutely no time. You start working, they start training you. They have you go to training on the day you get there, the day they assign you to be there. So they check you in, you're good. The next day you go, you're at a 4-hour training, which is signing all your paperwork, getting all your papers done, watching training videos. They're talking to you about being out there. You're getting your PPE. And then the next day they have you go to the yard. You go to the yard for yard training. They let you look around. They show you around what you're going to be doing, what it looks like. And there's people out there working already, because there's people been working pre-pile since August, right? Yeah, August. So you're actually seeing people work. The next day they bring you in, and then you're in it. You're actually on the ground crew working with the pile operators if you want to do pile operating. In the skid steers if you want to do skid steers training. So we went for a 4-hour training on the third day. And we were there on the piler, doing the ground crew, seeing how to get samples, things like that. Seeing how the boom machine works. And then CJ opted for skid steer training. So he had to go in that same afternoon to go to skid steer training. And he was there for like 3 or 4 hours.
4 hours.
About 4 hours. So depending on what you want to do, that's how they're training you. I wanted to look into pile operator, so I spent most of my day, the 4 hours, in the actual operating booth, looking at the pile operator and how they're working and how they're doing everything. And that day that we were there, it was like super busy. There was just like truck after truck after truck after truck. So you got a good feel for how it looks like when it's busy. So yeah, that's how all that works. And then you're off for maybe a day or so. That way you can get yourself together, get your everything situated at your trailer, and get ready and prepared to wait. I don't know what else to say. How many days did we wait? 2 days?
We were supposed to start on the 1st of October, and I don't think we started until the 6th.
Yeah. So they give you this hotline number to call. And you call that number every day to see if you're working, whether you're day or night. And it took them about a day to start assigning everybody. But most likely, 9 times out of 10, if it is your first year, you're going to be on night crew. And night crew is a different beast out there than day crew. Completely different. So the preparedness for a night position in the cold and wet, if you've never worked in that type of environment, that's a big deal to be prepared for. And I wish we would have known more about that part of it versus just going out there and being ready to work. So you sit there for, one day, and you call the hotline. They tell you when they're going to update it. Night crew should start at 8 o'clock. They go from 8 to 8 in the morning. It's a 12-hour shift. Remember, 12 hours each shift. So you got night shift, day shift, working from 8 to 8. Usually you have to be there at 7:30 for team meeting, stretching, and all that other good stuff, updates that we need to hear. Safety things that are happening. And so you're waiting. And then you call the phone number the next day, and you're waiting. And then you call the phone number the next day, and you're waiting. And then the next day you think, oh, we're probably not going to start yet. So you go off and you go get some groceries, and you think you're going to be good. And it's about 4:30, and you call the hotline at 4:30, and they're telling you have to be back in the yard. You have to start working at 7:30. You have to be there. But you're almost an hour away because that's the closest grocery store. So now you got to hurry up, finish getting your groceries, and then get in. It shouldn't have been that way, but the length of time that we were there, almost a week and a half before we actually started working, we didn't want to dip into all of our meal preps, and we didn't bring a lot of fresh food or fresh things to cook, snacks and stuff like that, to sustain us for sitting there a whole week and a half until we started actually working. So we finally decided, we got to go get some food. We went to go get food, and sure enough, that was the day that we started. So we had to rush back. So a lot of this is going to be, in the very beginning, a waiting game as to when they're going to actually start. You're told to be there, commit from October 1 to the 31st. You may not start your harvest actual season. I've heard the latest they started was the 12th.
Something like that,
Yeah, the 12th or the 13th. So you're sitting there from the 1st to the 12th or the 13th waiting just to start working your very first day. And let me tell you, by mid-October, it's cold. It is cold. And it's not intolerable cold, but because you're working at night and there's no sun and it's just wet, it feels wet, it's colder. So that had a lot to do with how we were feeling about things in the very beginning. We're done with this. We don't want to do this anymore. I'm just out of here. I don't want to do it. And it took us a good week and a half to adjust. Number one, to the sleep schedule, sleeping at night. Number two, and if you see in the back, we have plastic all over because we have windows all over our RV. And it was just impossible to sleep during the day with all that light coming in. So we had to black out our entire trailer. So, yeah, that's basically, it's a hurry up and wait game for a lot of the time that you are out here. If the season goes good and you get in and out within 2 to 3 weeks, that's good. But remember, if you get in and out in 2 to 3 weeks, you're not making as much money as if you sat the whole month. I mean, it's not a big difference, but it is a little bit more. So that's another thing to think about. So yeah, so we want to start with some of the things that we learned. Number one, being prepared with your clothes. And I wish we would have known more. And when you get there, they tell you, and even when you get hired, they tell you, go to the secondhand stores. There's secondhand stores over here too, and get you some good winter gear. And you think, okay, yeah, let me go over there to the secondhand store because it's more conducive to them having stuff that you need for their type of weather. They didn't have anything. By the time you get here, I don't know if everything's sold out already or what, but they didn't have a lot of options as far as secondhand clothes to be prepared for their type of fall and winter. And mind you, October is only fall, so it was already cold. For Men, I think it's not as easy, but it's a little easier. I think my husband was wearing thick socks, long johns, some insulated jeans that he just happened to get for Christmas, a couple of shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve, tank top, and then a pullover hoodie like what he's wearing right now, and then a jacket. And then they give you this thing that goes over your head and covers your ears and covers your mouth, and these little scarf-like things that cover your head. And then we had, what are those things called? What do you call them?
A buff.
A buff, yeah, that covers your mouth. And it's still cold. And you have thick gloves, and it's still cold. And mind you, we lucked out, and our POW station was inside like a warehouse hangar. It was like 3 football fields big.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 3 football fields big, and we were still cold in there. So imagine if you're outside actually working in full elements with the wind blowing, because the winds out here blow. You're talking about 20, 30, 40 mile per hour winds. Nothing stops.
On a regular.
Yeah, on the regular. And then the only time it stops is if it rains a little bit too much. When it starts raining and drizzling, trucks are still coming, you're still working. It's not stopping. If it starts raining a little bit too much to when the fields get wet, and then the growers, the farmers, can't pull their beets and get their trucks in and out, then we kind of stop. And even then, they don't shut down the yard right away. So you're there trying to find things to do while you wait for them to decide whether they're going to shut down or not. And most of the time, by the time it got to those conditions, it was like maybe 2-3 hours out from us getting off anyway. So they kept us there doing stuff, cleaning the machines, checking out the beets, pitching beets, like going actually up on the beet piles and moving the beets around, going to different powlers and helping them do things around their powlers. So it doesn't stop at all unless it started raining while you were off your shift and you just happened to luck out and not get caught back. But then again, they're not going to let you know that you're not going back until almost 5 o'clock, a couple of hours before your shift. So you're sitting there waiting all day. Can I go do this? Can I go do that? Should I go to the grocery store? I need to go to wash and this. You don't even want to start too much of that because you don't know if you aren't going to be off for the night. And then by the time that you know, it's late and you got to be quiet, tiptoe around, because there's other people in the RV camp that are sleeping during the day because they work during the day. So you have to tiptoe around to go get your chores done, which is most likely just washing clothes at night at like 1 o'clock in the morning, if you can, So I wish we knew more about the clothes situation. Women and men can wear the bibs, like what are those things? The full-on
coveralls.
Yeah, the coveralls. Like you can actually get into it, zip it up. And then the suspender ones where you can just pull it up over your chest, it covers your legs and pulls it, and just do that. And I think those are good for women. And I'm going to tell you why. I had on thick socks. I had on my long johns. I had on my jeans. I had on sweatpants over my jeans. I had on a tank top, a long sleeve shirt, a thinner like camo shirt, long sleeve, that cut out a lot of the wind. I had on a thin hoodie. I had on a regular hoodie like this, and then I had on my coat. And then you have your gloves and your hat and all this other stuff, and you're still cold. And you're probably laughing, thinking, "Oh, you don't need all that stuff." Yeah, you do, especially at night. Yes, you do. It sounds kind of silly to have all that stuff on, but you do. And that is what they tell you every time you go to work before our meetings. I hope you're layered up. I hope everybody has on their layers. And they even tell you wear layers because it's easy to take off. If you don't have enough to put on, then you're going to be freezing out there. And it was very rare that we got warm enough to at least just take off our big jackets. It was that cold that we literally kept on our big jackets the entire time. And like I told you, we were inside most of the time. Okay. Women, it is a little bit harder for us to wear the coveralls. I'd say the suspender ones are good because the difficulty you're going to have is in the restrooms. And these are porta potties. And the porta potties are usually a good walk away from where your pile station is, because you can't have the porta potties too close, because the way it works is each pile machine has 2 dumps on each side. So you got a right side dump and a left side dump. These big old 18-wheelers, the big old freights come through, and they'll go through the dump, empty all their beets, get their dirt, and then they turn around on the outside of these dumps in the machine and then go back out the way they came. So that porta potty cannot be within that turning radius for the big the 18-wheelers to get around. So that porta potty has to be a good ways away from where the machine is. And then there's no brake room, there's no nothing like that. So you're braking in your truck. So the trucks and the cars have to be way on the opposite side of the porta potty. And it's not hard to take breaks. They'll let you take breaks. Everybody's pretty good about that. It's just you have to go to a porta potty. You have a little bit of room in there, and you're trying to take off all these layers and unzip your pants and pull down your sweatpants and all this other good stuff, and then tuck everything back in, pull everything up. It's a task. It's a task to just go to the restroom for women. Men, I don't know if it's any easier, but I mean, you still have layers to go through. You still have layers to go through. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Shoes.
Oh my God.
What happened with your shoes, babe?
Which ones?
It was, the ones that we wore out there, man. We bought brand new shoes for this, because they tell you get some good shoes, right?
Some good boots. Good
boots. We could have gotten away, I think, with some good hiking boots. Maybe not so much mine were Brazos. Not so much those kind of boots. The only issue I had with those boots is the bottom sole, the heel, the actual bottom of the shoe. They have the big
grip.
Yeah, it's a good grip shoe. So there's a lot of space in there.
Tread.
Yeah, it's got a lot of tread. So what happened with those shoes, which I didn't see happen a lot with the hiking boots, but it still happened. What happens with these Brazos kind of shoes that have the good tread, it does not matter where you go, what you do, what you're working on, you're going to get all that mud in there. And it's not just mud, it's sticky mud, clay.
Pieces of the sugar beets.
The sugar beets, you're stepping on them, so now they're emulsifying and turning into this pasty stuff that does not come off. I don't know how to emphasize. It's not going to come off. You are literally going to have to be scraping your shoes. If you don't have a boot scraper, and we saw the boot scrapers everywhere. We're like, oh man, and every store, everywhere we went, there was boot scrapers right outside. It's because that stuff just gets sticky. It's just a paste, and you cannot get it out. And you're sitting there, and in between your breaks or in between trucks not coming through, and you're literally scraping all this stuff off, and no sooner do you step down and go back to your station to start working, it's all back on. So you're 2 inches thick again. You're literally walking on mud. I don't know how you did it, how you got your mud off. I don't know.
I kept scraping it on that dirt shovel thing.
Yeah, and they have shovels out there where you can use, and then like on the side of the stair, there's some stairs on the side of the machine so you can get to the top of the machine. And everybody's just scraping all their boots, which makes no sense because you're scraping on somebody else's pasty stuff and you're just getting all that stuff all over you too. So shoes, hiking boots.
Another Asian beetle.
Oh yeah, hiking boots probably will do out there, but them good gripped Brazos boots, they are the best kind of shoe for out there. But just know you are not going to get that mud off of your shoes the entire night. It's just going to be stuck there, and you can scrape and scrape and scrape all you want. It's just going to keep coming back because you're just stepping in all that all the time. Because what happens with the pile machines is they're going and going and going, and that conveyor belt is sending all these beets up to the hopper, and then out to the boom to where they can get on the top of the piles. And there's just pieces of dirt and mud and beets that are just flying off of it. So the side of the machine is completely piled, like a good 6 feet, no, not even, maybe like 2 or 3 feet of this pile of sticky mud and beets and everything. And you're going to have to clean that as a crew. You have to clean that out almost every night, because it's too much to just leave there day after day after day. So every crew has to clean it every night, and it's just sticky, and you can't get past it. There's just nothing else to do. So our recommendations: buy clothes before you get here. Buy you what for men?
The coveralls, they're still a little difficult to get in and out of, so probably like some overalls of some sort, suspenders some sort would be better. Make sure you definitely have your long johns, some socks. One thing I learned about socks is if the socks are too thick, your feet start to sweat. When your feet start to sweat, they get wet, and you feel that cold through your boots. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend the thickest of socks. I just wear these little thin, what are these, Hanes or something? I don't even know. And I did okay. There was a couple nights I needed some of those like hand warmers to put in my boots. But for the most part, I was okay with these thin socks. The more you sweat, the more you're gonna get cold. So
yeah, and hand warmers became our friends. The hot hands became our friends. Mm-hmm. We were sticking them in our gloves. We were sticking them in our shoes. I was sticking them in the pockets of my pants. I was putting them inside my hoodie in the center, so that even with the hot hands in my hands, and I put my hand in my hoodie pocket, it was nice and warm in there and toasty. They gave us these little head things to put on your head underneath your hard hat, and there's little slots in there for hot hands, and you put your hot hands in there. It gets cold, guys. It gets cold. This is, like I said, this is fall. It's not even winter, and it gets cold. Okay, not exaggerating at all. And I would imagine during the day it wasn't as cold, because at least you got a little bit of sun. But that sun hardly ever came out.
Yeah, it's a lot of cloud and a lot of rain, overcast, and there wasn't a lot of sun.
Yeah, so, yeah. Another thing that we want to talk about is getting prepared just to come out here. Now, we're from Texas, and we were completely unaware. I gotta pull my foot out. Okay. We were completely unaware that Texas prices on staples, groceries, things like that are actually fairly decent, guys. Fairly decent.
Not cheap, just fairly decent.
Exactly. And like I said, we did come up here prepared with a few things. We had some good protein sources. I did do a few meal preps. I didn't do enough. Like I said, we were up there for a week and a half, almost 2 weeks before we even started working. And by the time we actually did get to the store, we had to hurry up, get what we needed, and come back, because the nearest grocery store that's decent price that we found was Aldi, and it was in Grand Forks, which was about 45 minutes away. 45 minutes away from Grafton, where we were. A little bit more from Drayton. So we went to a local grocery store, because it was literally 2 minutes away from the campground. And the prices there blew our freaking mind. We bought like 10 items, and it was
probably less, and it was like $80.
$80. And that's because we bought the bare minimum. We got like a thing or two of pasta, maybe some lettuce and tomato,
and some sugar,
maybe sugar. I mean, we got the bare minimum there, and maybe a thing of chicken, maybe. And it was $80 freaking dollars, and it was like a meal for just one day. And it wasn't even a complete meal. So prices are going to be a little higher in North Dakota. So be ready for that. If you have a food dehydrator or what was it, freeze dryer? What were they using?
The freeze dryer.
Freeze dryer. We've heard that freeze drying foods, certain foods, that if you can freeze dry, number one, it's going to give you more food. Number two, it's going to save you space in your freezer. And you may be better off doing something like that. Or a dehydrator. Those things are space savers. The issue we have is we don't have a very big freezer, but we do have a freezer. So we froze some of our meals, made some of them out there. But I wish we would have known to prepare more or buy more, because we came up here with almost 2 weeks of food ready to go. We went through that, and just getting out to the store in between our work schedules, it was extremely difficult. Like I said, there is no time for anything, because even on your days off, you were so exhausted. It is hard for you to get up at a decent time to get to the stores, because stores close early. So buy your groceries, prepare your meals, whatever you can. I don't care if it's soups for whatever. We did some chicken and dumplings. We did some different kinds of soups. We did actual chicken soups. I wish we would have did some chili, things like that. Our favorite kind of foods like enchiladas and getting taco meat ready, things like that. I wish we would have prepared a little bit more of that, because on the days that we had off and we couldn't get to the grocery store and we didn't have enough time, we went to go eat out, and it wasn't the best food. That's just our opinion. Nothing against North Dakota, but it just was not our type of food at all. We tried different places to give it a good, honest feel for what we were doing, and we just didn't like any of the food out here at all. I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it right there.
I guess salt is spicy.
We're gonna leave it there, guys. That you can go out and make your own judgments, but we had some other people around us too. They were just like, "Yep, nope, this ain't doing it for us." And surprisingly, they were from Texas too, and they agreed with us. So I don't know. So we're just gonna leave it there, guys. Bring your food, prepare, buy as much as you can, stock as much as you can. Do whatever you need to do to make sure you have enough food. If you can get in your trailer a good month's worth of supplies of food, snacks, and everything else, you're doing really good. That way it's less time you have to worry about going out to the store, because you're going to be exhausted. You're just going to be tired. Day or night, 12-hour shifts, you're going to be. And I found that we were more exhausted on the nights that we were just told to sit at the yard than nights that we actually had to work. Moving around, doing stuff, even if we're waiting for trucks, getting the truck maybe 2 or 3 trucks an hour, was better than just sitting in the truck waiting and waiting and waiting. And then they tell you, a couple of hours later, go and, help out this piler. They're going to be cleaning, or go and throw beets, or go do this, those nights were more exhausting. And we had a handful of those nights. We were more tired the next day than we were had we just maybe been off, or just moving around the trucks, having trucks come in. But there were no trucks coming in, so we didn't have anything to do. But at the same time, the yard wasn't closed, so we had to find things to do. But it took them hours rotating everybody to get things done. So that was hard. So you're going to be tired. You're not going to have time for all the extra things that you think you are. All the arts and crafts, the reading. I was trying to read a book, couldn't even get through the first 5 chapters of the book. You just don't have time to do anything. And then when you do have downtime, all you want to do is rest, because you have to rest, you have to wash clothes, you have to clean. You haven't cleaned the trailer in I don't know how many weeks, and you just don't have the energy to do it. You won't. I don't know what else to say, but you won't, unless you've been doing this for a long time and you got a routine, which I see it taking you a good few years to get an actual routine on how to do this, because it's a lot. It's a lot as far as doing stuff in between shifts. It really is. So yeah.
Produce.
Yeah, and there's no fruits and vegetables out here. There's like basic stuff, like they got lettuce, tomato, potatoes, of course, because they have potatoes everywhere.
You might have apples.
Yeah,
And
oranges,
you might have
bananas.
oranges and grapes. That's about it.
Yeah, we had a hard time finding different types of berries. There were no kind of water fruits whatsoever. Watermelon, cantaloupes, honeydews, anything like that. You found maybe one or two every now and then. But even at the Walmart, there's a Walmart. We don't really care to buy groceries at the Walmart. And the Walmart might be cheap like Aldi. But again, that's in Grand Forks. But yeah, as far as produce and things like that, and it's hard to bring that stuff and pack it in for a whole month or so. But just know that if you were the type of people like CJ and me that love fruits and vegetables, you are going to eventually be lacking that if you don't bring it with you. Fruits and vegetables that might hold up: bananas, apples, oranges. If you can bring some cantaloupes and watermelon and pineapples that aren't ripe yet and just have them here to ripe, that might be cool. But once you're out of that, you're out of that. That's all I can say. You're just out of it. So that be prepared as far as groceries. Prepare as many meals as you can. Figure out snacks.
Maybe bring some extra vitamins for your supplements, because you're not going to get the proper nutrition out here.
Yeah, and then no sun, so you definitely need whatever you need to supplement all that. I mean, we're somewhat conscious about all that health wise. Teas. Oh, we like doing our own teas with fresh herbs, as far as like moringa, mullein, oregano, dandelion root, things like that. You cannot find that up here. So if you were in a place like in Texas, there's a lot of flea markets and farmers markets where they just have that stuff readily available. If we would have known, we would have bought bigger bags. We did stock up, but we should have bought double what we brought up here, because in 2-3 weeks we were completely out. And we make those things and use those things daily, especially because allergens out here. And let's go into that. So food wise, before I get in there, prepare as much as you can. Actually cook stuff. Even if you don't do full meals, get your chickens, your proteins, all that, cook that, have it ready, freeze it. That way it's less time for you to cook. Because the other thing is, you're not going to really want to cook. You're going to be so exhausted. You're not going to want to sit there, especially in RVs. It is a different type of beast cooking in RVs. So you're not going to want to take the time to cook all that, because most of the time we only have 2 burners or 2 very small burners, and you can't get the big pots on there to cook the way you want to. So cook and prepare as much as you can before you get here. Okay. So yeah, going into the seasons out here. So you're coming into fall up here, and this is ag country. North Dakota is ag country. So there are crops everywhere. Corn, potatoes, the beets, and soybean. Soybean is what fucked us up. The soybean dust. Everybody's pulling their crops at this time, harvesting everything, putting them away, storing them away for the winter. And there is soybean dust everywhere. And I ended up having to go to the emergency room. I have asthma that's aggravated by allergies, and soybean is one of my big triggers. Didn't think about it at all. And we use those fresh herbs and stuff like that, especially like mullein, goldenrod, oregano, and moringa. We use those to help us regulate our allergies and our entire system, actually. And we ran out of that stuff. And CJ, after I went to the hospital, got my meds, did whatever, and they gave me enough meds for the month, CJ started getting really bad. He was actually in the middle of the night waking up wheezing and could not rest, because when it was time for us to go lay down, come home, lay down and get ready, to get ready for the next day, midway through our sleep, he's wheezing and coughing, and we're having to get up and make our tea, but we're pretty much out of everything, so we're just doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I wish we would have known to prepare if you are into that kind of stuff and into natural remedies, double up on whatever you typically do. Double whatever herbs you bring, double that, triple it. I don't care. If you have an overabundance of it, it's going to be better than if you don't have enough. Because if you're trying to get through your allergy seasons, especially right now when it's fall and they're picking up all their crops and throwing everything everywhere, you are going to be in a world of hurt if you don't have what you need as far as natural meds or actual meds. Just double up on that. Again, meds too are out here are a little bit more. So all that taken into consideration. I don't know what states you're coming from, but coming from Texas, it was considerably higher for us based in from where we came from. So that was another thing that we had to talk about. We talked a little bit about the waiting game. Like I said, you're working 12-hour shifts. You're doing 8 to 8 night, 8 to 8 morning. Most likely, if it's your first year, you're working nights. Next year, when we come back, we'll be doing days. We're planning on coming back. There may be some stuff that comes up that we may not have to, but if we do, next year we know we're going to be on day shift because they alternate you. If you work night shift one year, the next year you're going to be day shift. So that way they like the fairness of how everything works, and that's a big thing about working out here. It needs to be fair. Breaks need to be fair. You know, time off needs to be fair. If somebody goes down, it needs to be fair. Whoever's picking it up, you know, all that. It needs to be fair. So you work night, next year you're going to work day, and then it keeps rotating that way. So yeah, the waiting game is hard. 12-hour shifts, you come home. By the time we got home, it was around 8:30, 8:40. We got off at 8:30, 8:40, we got home. You take a little while to settle down. We usually make tea to go to sleep, to help us go to sleep. That takes a little while. We have 2 dogs. We had to walk our dogs. So by the time we're actually going to sleep, it's almost an hour later. So 9:30, 9:40, 9:45, we're finally asleep. And then you have to wake up maybe around 2 to call the hotline to see if you have to work. And most of the days, you know, we knew it was going to be nice. So we're figuring, you know, we're going to have to work anyway. So we would set our alarm, maybe 3:30. That gives you just enough time to maybe warm you up something to eat so that you don't go to work hungry, and then pack your lunch. And then start finding all the damn clothes that you're going to wear. So on days that you don't have to work, you're getting up at 2:30, you know there's going to be rain or a lot of wind or whatever. The wind may bring the pilers down because you can't operate the boom in the heavy wind because the booms are going to sway back and forth. So the only reason you're going to be shut down is if it's too wet and way too windy. And we didn't get shut down once for wind, but we did get shut down several times for rain, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the rain, you know, comes in this time and it's done this time. So if it doesn't rain enough, then you're still going to go work. If it rains too much, then you're going to be off for 2 or 3 days because now it has to dry. So you're playing the waiting game a lot of times out here. So that was that's another thing you're going to have to deal with. And like I said, if you're down for a couple of days, it's going to take you a good day just to get your focus, to be relaxed, to actually sleep, and to be able to want to get up and go grocery shopping, to be able to want to get up and go wash your clothes, to be able to want to get up and actually take the dogs for a good walk, to be able to want to get up and go clean your shoes. It's difficult. It's a challenge. So yeah. Yeah, I think we touched on, I have here creature comforts, things to do. There's nothing to do out here, number one. Nothing. Grafton, Drayton, wherever you are, nothing to do. You can go to Grand Forks and do some stuff, but you're talking about 45 minutes to an hour drive depending on what location you're at, Grafton or Drayton. Drayton's about an hour, Grafton's 45 minutes. And it's a decent sized city, and yeah, it's got fast food, and it's got clubs, and it's got grocery stores and things like that. Again, our opinion, we can be challenged on it. Next time we go out there, if somebody wants to take us somewhere and show us some good food, we will be more than happy to try it. We didn't find not one good food place. Number 2, the bars and all that, they're typical bars and all that, but you're just so exhausted that we ended up at the end of everything. We ended up going out to a little bar, hanging out with some friends, having some burgers or whatever. And we all agreed we were just exhausted. We were just forcing that whole thing the whole time because we were just exhausted. I don't even know what else to say. Like I said, we brought all of our arts and crafts. We brought our work. I brought my paints. I brought my books. Didn't touch absolutely nothing. Maybe the first few days we were here, we got to put our stuff out. CJ got to nap a little bit. Those days I was prepping more meals. You don't get to do anything. You really do not have time to do anything. So all those extra things that you think you're going to do, the creature comforts, I wouldn't even weigh down your RV with any of that. Just if you're going to bring a book, maybe you could probably try to finish a book. If you want to bring, I don't know, one little thing to do, maybe. But for the most part, you're just going to be too tired. You're just going to want to sleep and find your body parts again, because your knees are going to hurt. Your feet are going to hurt. Your back.
My neck hurts. My neck still hurts.
Yeah, and most of that comes from doing the sample bags, because they have these big old black, they're not leather, but they're like this really thick plastic bag that you have to hold up to this.
Vinyl.
Maybe vinyl. That's what they are. Vinyl. They're a thick vinyl, and you have to get these big bags. It's literally about this wide, and pull it up to the chute machine that drops big old heavy beets into it. So this bag you're having to hold up, and the beets are dropping into the bag, and you have to hold the bag so that all these beets don't drop and fall all over the place, because these are sample bags, and they designate what truck or what farmer is going to be doing this. You don't have to do it every time, but the bags get heavy, and the beets drop. They're heavy, and as the season goes, the beets get heavier and heavier because they got more water in them, and you're having to hold these bags up, and then you're having to accordion these bags and crump it all up, and then put this big old band around it and try to clasp it. Your hands hurt, your arms hurt, your shoulders hurt. Women, if you're a little bit more endowed than some of us, these beets are going to be hitting your chest, because that's just the way the machine is. You're having to get up there, and they're just knocking into you, even with all the layers. So it was horrible. I mean, none of the work was difficult. It's just a challenge to do it. And none of it is hard. None of this, I wouldn't discourage. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from doing this. It wasn't that hard. I did it. Anybody can do it. It was not hard work. The tasks were not difficult. It's the challenge of the elements and some of the things that the movements, you're not used to these movements, and your body's just going to be letting you know, we don't do this. This is not what we do. We do with this hurts, that hurts, the other hurts. Your face hurts, your head hurts from having all these things on you to keep you warm. Your head hurts. My head is still soft from, I would always pull my hair up because they don't want you to have your hair out. So you have to put your hair up in a ponytail, and you're smushing it down into your head. The head hurts still. So, yeah, creature comforts, time to do extra stuff. You're going to be exhausted. You're not going to have time. I don't know what else to say. You're just not going to have time to do it. So, talking into the job itself, I don't know. CJ was backup boom operator. I started training to be backup pile operator, and the girl that ended up being the backup pile operator, she was pretty good, and she did the thing. And if for whatever reason she didn't show up, then I would have been the next backup operator for the pile operator. But for the most part, the job wasn't hard, right?
No, the job wasn't hard at all. All the tasks are easy. The piler operator probably has like the most that they have to focus on, because they've got a few more controls and such that they have to work versus what we have to work as the boom operator, or down on the crew as the ground crew. The piler operator, all I'm doing is the boom operator, I'm swinging the boom back and forth so that the beets pile in an even kind of level and even fashion, filling in holes and patches wherever they need to fill in. It was easy work. What made it hard was just the cold, the wind, and the long hours. I mean, that's pretty much it. And sitting around and waiting, and it's just, oh, there's nothing to do, and you're there the entire time, and it's just.
And like I said, there's no break room or anywhere you can go and sit and be comfortable. There is the scale house where they do have snacks and coffee and things like that for you. But the scale house is where they're bringing the trucks in and out and telling them, you know, what pile to go to. And then when they're going out, they're checking out, letting them know which pile they ended up going to, and, you know, handing off their tickets and all that. So it's not a very big space, so not everybody can go in there and be in there. So they have it there just for your convenience to get coffee, water, hot chocolate, and then maybe some snacks if they had them, and then the hot hands. They usually had hot hands, so definitely you're going to the scout house to get hot hands every now and then. But for the most part, if you're breaking or eating lunch or whatever, you're sitting in your car. And most of the time the cars are not inside the warehouse, they're outside in the elements, so it's cold and you're having to run your car just to stay warm. Yeah, but like CJ said, it wasn't difficult. The work was not difficult. Ground crew, you're guiding the trucks through because the trucks come into the dump stations, they dump their beets. The only thing you're doing when they're in the actual dump station before they actually start throwing the beets off their truck is you're asking for a ticket, and this ticket is the sample ticket, which I'm telling you is where you have to hold the bag and get the beets and all that other good stuff. That task, you have to wrap the bags, put them down, sample bags. Then once the trucks are done dumping their beets, you're guiding the trucks through with very, you know, exaggerated hand motions, because you're this little person and it's this big truck that you're having to guide under this little dump to where they can get their dirt back. And they get their dirt back because they get paid something for taking back their dirt or something.
Well,
I didn't understand that
it's
part.
by the weight. So it's they have the total weight of when they first come in, which is going to include the beets and the dirt. After they dump their beets, they get back the dirt that came with the load, so that way they can know the difference of total weight versus their leftover weight of dirt, and they get paid based upon that amount of just the beets.
Right. So you have to go there's big 18-wheelers, like the big long 18-wheelers, and then they have the roll-off 18-wheelers where they don't come up, like the actual box of the 18-wheeler comes up and dumps the beet. There are some where it has a conveyor belt in it where it just dumps the beets out of the back end of it. So there's the big long ones, there's some mid-sized ones, and then there's some small box trucks. And all of them are the same thing. There's some that lift up, the whole box lifts up, and then there's some that are conveyors, okay? The conveyors are very slow, and the dump trucks you have to be very careful with. And the whole time you're doing this job, whether you're up in the operator booth, you're the boom operator, or you're down on the crew, you're constantly looking everywhere. You're watching the people behind you, in front of you, your crew on the other side of the machine. You're watching the truck. You're watching the boom operator behind you. You're watching the ground because it gets slippery and slick. You're watching the extension cord that's plugging in that big ass machine. The trucks can't go over it, and then you don't want to fall over it because it's not a regular little extension cord. No, this is a big cord. And then these big 18-wheelers that come up, and their box has to go all the way up. If it's windy, these boxes are swaying back and forth. So you have to be very careful. You're watching out for this truck when he goes all the way up, that he doesn't tump over. And it's happened where they tumped over in the dump station, and beets are going everywhere, the truck's knocked over. So you have to watch all this stuff. Again, not difficult. You just have to be very aware of everybody, everything, anything that's going on around you. So you guide the truck through. They get their dirt back. You have to get them to where the dirt is going to the back of the truck as much as possible. And then you're guiding them out of the area. And then you're making sure they're not hitting the cord, they're not running into the beets, they're not hitting anybody else. And then you're actually cleaning the whole area where the trucks are coming in and out of. They give you these shovels and, I don't know, these spatula looking things that you're, cleaning. You're constantly cleaning that area because, number one, it gets slippery. Number 2, you're going to step in all that stuff and you're just going to get caked on your boots. And number 3, you have to move all that stuff out of the way. That way the next truck comes in and they're not slipping and sliding, because they will. Once they start dumping and on the wet days, they're sliding forward when they start emptying their box. You can see them. They're locked in, their brakes are done, and they're sliding forward because the beets are pushing against the back wall and they're sliding the trucks forward. So you're just constantly looking at everything. Ground crews guiding the trucks, taking the samples, getting the actual sample bags tied up and put down, cleaning the area, watching for everybody around you, watching the boom. You got to make sure the trucks don't come through when the boom's right overhead, and these big trucks that have the big smokestacks aren't hitting the top of the boom or the top of the rack where the dirt is. It's a lot to look out for. It's not difficult, but it is a lot to watch out for. If you're a PAL operator, I sat in the PAL station, in the PAL operating booth. You're up high above everybody. So in the PAL operator, you have the right side and the left side controls that you're taking care of. You're making sure everything looks good on the conveyor so that all the beets go up and they're not getting stuck and rolled all together and getting stuck together. And then you're watching your ground crew. You got to make sure your ground crew is safe. And if somebody needs to go on a break, they're waving you down, telling you, I got to go on a break. And you're like, okay, I see you. I acknowledge that you're going on a break. They come back. Hey, I'm back from break. Okay, I see you. I acknowledge you've come back from break. It's just a lot. It's a lot. Not difficult. But depending on where you are, it's a lot. Boom operator. They got to make sure they're watching the PAL. They're going back and forth, not doing too much on one side of the PAL or the other side of the PAL. And they actually physically have to move the actual whole machine back. If the boom, the conveyor boom, is getting too close to the beets, that'll stop the actual conveyor from going and everything shuts down. So you got to keep moving that machine back just enough so that you can pile beets and keep that arm moving and, you know, not slow down production at all. There needs to be a constant flow of beets all the time. Again, it's not a difficult job. It's just a lot to watch out for. And each person has to remember what they need to be doing and what they need to be looking out for. And if you're backing up, you have to remember that task too. My backup task when I get here, what am I doing? What am I looking for? What do I need to pay attention to? Again, not difficult, just a lot going on. And if you're working and you're moving and the trucks are coming in, time flies. 12 hours.
It doesn't seem like 12 hours. It goes by pretty quick. You know, by the time everyone's taking their breaks, everyone, you know, one at a time, we alternate out and relieve each other. And it goes by pretty quick. But it's when you're sitting there and the trucks are slow and they're not coming through and you might get one truck an hour, it drags on. It is the longest night ever.
Yeah, so that's basically how all that's working. And I think we're going to end up breaking this video up because we're just about to an hour point. We're going to keep rolling and then we'll break it up. But a couple of the other things that we were talking about that we noticed, and that goes back to preparing to come out here. Now, like I said, it's going into fall, but we were released on the 27th, which was a Wednesday, right? Mm-hmm. So they released us that day. They gave us, and mind you, we were already on, they have it stay pay. Stay pay is when you don't go to work, you can't show up due to weather. They give you guaranteed 4 hours of stay pay. The only deal with that is you have to come in the next day. So if you're off on Monday because of the weather, you have to show up Tuesday if you're scheduled to work.
No, we were released on the 29th.
Yeah. You have to show up Tuesday, the next day, to get that, to qualify for your 4 hours of stay pay. So you're not just sitting here not doing anything on days off and you're not getting paid. You're at least getting 4 hours. Yeah, 4 hours, 12 hours, I get it. But at least you're getting something, okay? So the last week that we were there, he's right, we got released on the 29th, which would have been Wednesday, which would have been payroll cutoff. But we had already been off Monday, Tuesday, and then rolling into Wednesday because we got notified Wednesday afternoon that we were done. And we did. We left Monday morning, we left. We had finished piling our entire warehouse. We were done, and we actually ended up cleaning, like started thoroughly cleaning our machine to shut it down. And then rain was coming that afternoon, Monday. First shift came in Monday, but they were cut off midday because it was too much rain. So we were off Monday night, Tuesday night, and then we probably would have been off Wednesday night, but they went ahead and released us Wednesday.
Yeah, because they said that they weren't not to call back into the hotline until Thursday. So we would have been off all the way to Thursday.
Yeah, from Monday to Thursday, they had told us not to call in until Thursday. So we got those last 3 days of our stay pay. I forgot where I was going with that, but yeah. Well, anyway, so yeah, that's the way that worked. We got released that day.
Feathers in my pocket.
But what I was getting into is preparing to come out here. So it's we get here end of September, and you go all the way through October. Now, had we probably not finished our pile, we probably would have stayed on another 5 to 6 days. There was at least another 5 to 6 days of work. Coming back Thursday, going maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, into that following week. But that would have been going into November. They have you commit October 1st to the 31st. And then after that, they start talking to you and saying, can you stay or whatever. And we were asked on Monday evening, did we want to stay? We agreed to stay through it. And then I'm assuming because we have finished our pile that they went ahead and released us and said, everybody on that crew just go home. We're done. So it's not exactly rolling into winter, but up here, North Dakota, further north, it starts getting cold sooner. So come mid-October, it started changing temperatures. And you're talking about in the evenings. I think one night it was 27.
Mm-hmm.
One night it was 27 degrees, and then it was windy. It was at least 20 mile per hour winds.
And it frosted over. We watched the frost develop over that night. And come morning, it was just, you couldn't see in front of your hand type foggy.
Yeah, it was bad. It was zero. I've never really seen zero visibility fog. You could just getting to your vehicle. You could not see your vehicle from where you were in your pile station. That's how bad the fog was. And that's how dewy or frosty it was out there. Even the bags, the sample bags had frost on them and they were hard. So trying to do samples while with the bags are getting harder because it's a vinyl, and they're going with the weather and they're tensing up, and it gets bad out there. So
and that was a slow night.
Yeah, it was a very slow night. I think we had maybe 2 trucks an hour. 2 trucks an hour, literally. And you have to stand there for the whole thing. You can't go to your truck. There was time where we did, our pile operator said, you know what, just go ahead and go to your truck. I'll ring, there's this big buzzer thing on the machine. She goes, I'll ring the buzzer when the truck comes in or whatever. But it's hard to go all the way from your truck back to the piling machine, waiting for the rigs to get there. It's just easier just to stand there and wait. So with that being said, it's not completely winter, but it is cold and it's wet and it's raining. I would definitely go through a checklist if you have one before you bring your rig out here. And we're a small 20-foot trailer. We had space heaters in here. We were running 2 space heaters on low, different areas of of our trailer. Not that it's that big, but we had one for the dogs because they stayed in here and they did really, really well. Yes, we shouldn't have left them in here 12 hours, but they were really good about not messing in the RV. But as soon as we got home, we had to hurry up and take them out because they needed to go. So we had 2 small heaters, and then we would turn off one heater and put on our heating blanket so that we could go to sleep, so that we would be warm. By the time the day comes around, it starts warming up a little bit. So then you get hot. So then you have to wake up, turn off shit and whatever. But I would say go through a checklist on your rig. Check your water. check your propane. Make sure you come with enough propane, because it's not easy to find propane, and that's another thing. Propane's expensive. We found the cheapest one was like $20, $20.99 for an exchange. The most expensive we saw was $29.99 for an exchange. Not horrible, but again, where we were coming from, we were paying what, $16, $17.99 for an exchange. So a little bit more, not as much, but so make sure you're ready to endure cold nights. And if you're working nights, it's going to be cold while you're in here. If you have your little ones in here, if you have your fur babies, make sure they have enough to keep them warm, because it will get cold overnight. You're working out there, you can feel it, they can feel it. Okay. Check your lines, your water lines. Check your propane lines and all that. Like I said, bring enough propane. We had, ours is a 20-foot trailer. We had a couple of schoolies next to us. There was plenty of the big, what do they call it? Yeah, fifth wheels and things like that, with the slide outs and things like that. Now, what happened, had we not been released that Wednesday, we would have had to figure something out the following week, because the following Monday, they were already shutting off the water to the campground. So make sure you have enough water. Make sure you're ready for the water to be shut off if you're going to be out here for an extended period of time into November, if they want you here in November. Again, the food thing, you got to be prepared with that. But just know, have you enough blankets? Have you enough heat source? If you don't have central heat or central air in your RV, make sure you have a good another heat source, a heater or whatever. Mind your wattage on everything. It's just, you know, just have a checklist. Make sure you're good. Make sure refrigerators are ready to handle all this. Ours started freezing everything. Our actual refrigerator started freezing everything. So I literally had to turn the temperature down on that, because we lost fruits and vegetables, what little we could find, because they froze in there. So I literally had to do the minimal setting, just to keep our fruits and vegetables at a decent temperature without them freezing too much. Just little things like that. Like if you are not running water, we don't have running water in ours. Big situation on that. Not a big deal. We've worked with it, but we would have been having to figure out other things had we stayed longer and they cut off the water. So if you happen to be in that situation, which is not bad, you can deal with it. We've dealt with it. It's not a deal breaker at all. Just make sure you know you have options to get other water sources out here. They were having the shower house that has a restroom and a shower and the washer dryer at that campground that we were at. The water was staying on there. They also had the back end where there was a warming house, which when we got there, we were freaking out. We're like, why do they have a warming house? Like, why is there somewhere where you can go to be warm? Like, how cold does it get out here? You have to go into a warming house. And as we were leaving, they were setting up their ice rink. Right outside the warming house, there was an ice rink. So we knew we were really, really close to needing to leave, because we were not ready water-wise to stay out there an extended amount of time. So things you need to think about as well. I'm pretty sure if you're a seasoned RV, we're still kind of new to the actual on-the-road RV. We've been living in our RV for almost 2 years now, but actually being on the road and having to deal with all this, we're brand new to that, and this is things that we are learning along the way, and people that have RVs are teaching us a lot as well along the way. So dogs, I mentioned the dogs, keeping them warm. We actually bought them some sweaters and things like that, and extra blankets. That way they're not on the actual floor, because we didn't have the skirts, and I didn't see anybody else put up skirts around the outside of their RVs, because it was not that cold. But for the dogs, it gets cold enough. So make sure the doggos are taken care of. We talked about the heat, if you don't have central air, you need to have some kind of heating source in here, whether it's a little, wood burning stove or something, heaters or whatever. We ended up having to buy another heater. We had one heater, and we ended up buying another one that was a little bit bigger and a little bit produced a little bit more heat, because it did start to dip a little bit lower than what we were able to stay comfortable in here without central heat. All that hopefully is getting fixed in the next few months, and will be a lot better condition to roll out next year. But yeah, just keep that in mind, and that's for more of the people that are starting out like us, that don't have all those big luxuries that you have in the bigger RVs or in a newer RV. Ours is a vintage 89, and it's very cute and beautiful, but there are a lot of upgrades that need to be done to it, and we're fully prepared to do that. And we were ready. We were very aware of what we were rolling into as soon as we bought it and we rolled out. We knew we were going to have issues and obstacles to challenge us, but we knew we could get through it, and we did. We're doing pretty good. Like I said, we went through it. We're now in South Dakota. We're chilling out. We're having fun, and we made it, so we're good. Okay, yeah, and like I said, that I'm just going back on things that you think you need, you probably don't. What you need to be concerned with coming out here, if you are going to do the beet harvest, is food, having enough food. And like I said, prices are a little bit higher out here. If you're prepared to deal with that, good for you, great. If you can prepare meals and freeze dry and dehydrate things, you save a lot of space, and you get more meals done that way and packed away than if you had actual Ziploc full of meals like what we had. There was only so much space we had in our freezer for Ziploc meals, and once that's done, you have to cook meals, and you have to hope that you have a couple of days off so that you can actually cook and prepare the meals, because like I said, in working in the RV, it's a little bit different cooking. If you can utilize outside to cook, and that's what I do sometimes. We would cook outside, plus I cook inside, and you can get a little bit more done, but it's still a lot of work. We bought extra clothes, because we thought we were going to go out and look around. Just bring your work clothes, and maybe 1 or 2 extra outfits just in case you get to go out. But for the most part, focus on work clothes, your long johns, your what I call big mama chones, because you want full coverage out here, ladies. You want the whole thing covered, because it gets cold. The little tangas and all that are not going to work out here at all. You want as much coverage on everything as much as possible. Yeah, I the cute clothes, never, it's all the way thrown at the back, never even touched it. The things that we wore out there, we kept washing, because I didn't want to dirty any more of my clothes. So you keep washing it. If you can bring more, do that. But then just know you're going to have a basket full of weighed down, stuck on, muddy clothes, because it doesn't even come off your clothes. And then you're standing under these parts of the machine where you're getting grease. They have to grease these machines all the time because of the weather and because of the elements. So these machines, every time they get shut down to clean them, the greaser comes around. There's actually a person who just greases these machines. They come in a truck and they go through every single part that is a gear, a turning cog, wheel, whatever, and they're putting grease in there. And this grease is just going through the conveyor belts and the chains, and you're literally standing under some of this stuff, and you're just getting grease on your head, in your hair, down your back. I don't even know how the dirt got in our backs sometimes. And you have grease in your underwear, you have grease down your legs, you have grease all over your clothes. It just, the dirt, the grease gets everywhere. I don't know if you had to deal with any of that.
A little bit. And then of course it smells like petroleum because it's grease. So then you walk around smelling like a mechanic's garage or something like.
Yeah, so the extra stuff, the extra clothes, I wouldn't even worry about it. Just bring what you're going to work with. Like I said, maybe 1 or 2 extra outfits, maybe an extra pair of jeans, nice jeans, an extra pair, a nice shirt or a pullover or something. But for the most part, you're not going to be coherent enough to even want to go out and do anything fun. So, and there, like I said, there's not too much to do out there anyway. So,
This is at least for Graft in North Dakota. We don't know about Minnesota or Michigan. We didn't go out that way, so we can only speak on Graft in North Dakota. There's not anything to do.
Yeah, Drayton, Grafton, there was just really nothing to do. Really nothing to do. Nothing to see, nothing to do. It's just, like I said, it's just open land with fields and crops everywhere, and that was pretty much it. So
Now, there was a cool little bar that was on the Canadian border in Pembina, is the town it was called. It looks like a typical Canadian bar that you would see on any shows that feature Canadian bars. Um, and it was fun. It was cool. It wasn't like overly crowded or anything, but again, you're not gonna have that kind of time just to go hang out at the bar.
And the only reason we got to that bar is because it was a meet and greet before we even started the season.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, days before we even started full schedule working. We tried. We actually ended up meeting a couple of people, and look them up. It's Let's Keep Going. We actually ended up meeting them and talking to them, and they kind of like saw what we were talking about on Facebook about groceries and stock up and this, that, and the other. And we tried several times to get out with them and do stuff. We didn't end up actually doing anything until we were actually released and getting ready to leave. And like I said, that day we went, I think we were all forcing ourselves to do this because we really wanted to, but we probably would have rather been in bed.
Mm-hmm.
We all, honestly, I had a great time going out with them. I know they had a great time going out with us, but we honestly, all four of us just wanted to be in bed. We didn't want to do anything. So yeah, there's not going to be a lot of time. Even if you did bring stuff, there's not going to be a lot of time to do it. There's just not. You're not going to feel like you want to do this. So and there were just so many days. And even on our crew, we had a really good crew. We were Polar 1 in the middle section of the Drayton Yard. And Drayton Yard had 12 pilers. And we had the best, was Terry our supervisor? The foreman?
Yeah, Terry.
Terry was our supervisor. He was the best supervisor. I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't know.
Terry was cool.
Terry was cool. Our crew was cool. Shakia, Sandy, Steve, and then us. That was our crew. So it was 5 of us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Darius.
Oh, Darius.
Dalton.
Dalton. What was... Dylan. Dylan, he was on our crew, but he was skid steer, so he went between POW stations on those and cleaning up the POW stations. But yeah, there were days where we were cold and wet and tired, and we all just had moments where we're done. We're just, don't call me back. I'm not even calling the hotline. I'm just going home, going to sleep.
Cranky.
And I'm just not coming back at all. I'm just done. I'm not coming back. And there were a lot of times when we felt that way. And like I said, it wasn't the work. It was the weather, the elements. The elements, if you can't get through the elements, you're going to be in a world of pain. You have to mentally be ready to endure this, because it's not freezing all the time. It's not wet all the time. But it's just enough, especially at night, to where it makes you feel miserable. It just makes you feel miserable. The job is not hard at all. I could do the job in my sleep. Actually, we did the job in our sleep several times.
I didn't get any sleep or any rest because I kept dreaming about this damn machine, and just you hear the horn, just
or then the backup beeping, like the 18-wheelers with their backup beeping, because you got to be careful when you back them out, because towards the end, it gets to where the beets are so much in the warehouse, they can't turn around anymore. So they have to back out. So all you hear is the backing up beeping noise. Beep, beep, beep. And you're hearing this in your sleep, and you're hearing the conveyor belt of the boom and the pile machine, and you don't rest.
And then every now and then, those sample bags will build up. We'll have 10, 20 bags that need to be collected. So our supervisor, Terry, would come around with the front loader, and we'd load up those bags. And in my dreams, I'm seeing that happen. The big bright lights of the front loader, and we're loading up these bags into the big bucket. And it just no rest, even when you're asleep.
You're still working in your sleep, literally. When you first get here, you are working in your sleep. And it doesn't stop. And then we would be asleep in our trailer, and we were very close to the Grafton grafting location. And sometimes CJ would just like pop up and say, are we close enough to Grafton where we can hear the machines? I'm like, no, I don't think we're close enough to, and we weren't. It was like a good, 5-6 minutes down the road. We weren't close enough to hear the machines, but you can hear the beeping. I'm like, yeah, I hear it too. I can hear the machine. I can hear the polling. I can hear the buzzer. I can hear all of it. I can hear all of it. You can hear the machine, dum, 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 with the conveyor belts and the chains, dum, 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 dum. It doesn't stop. It would not freaking stop. I don't know how long. It took us almost 2 weeks to stop working in our sleeps, I would say.
And then you're just probably not going to get any rest because of all your neighbors, unfortunately.
Oh, gosh. The location they put us at, it had, and it's always just one. It's always just one. So it was us, and then there was a person next to us, an RV next to us, which eventually he moved out like 2 weeks into us being there. And then there's another beet harvester. And then next to them is a big slide out trailer.
And he was actually one of the beet drivers.
Yeah, he was a driver. And I guess he's driving during the day and they sleep at night or whatever. But they were so loud, and their kids were loud. And they would be running around outside, bouncing the ball. And I told CJ, I swear to God, if I ever catch that kid by himself, I'm going to pop that damn basketball. Because it would be like 10, 11, 12 during the day. Doom, 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 doom. Just constantly for hours bouncing that stupid basketball.
And then just nonstop screaming.
Screaming and yelling. And then they're banging inside their RV. And then the kids are running around outside the RV and locking each other out of the RV, and just like goddamn police knocking on your door. Open the door, let me in. You hear that for hours. I'm like, why doesn't the camp host do something? And it wasn't like she was far away and she couldn't hear it. And I know every now and then she would come and talk to them. I saw her come over and talk to them.
Probably got tired of asking.
And I was like, why, dude, why?
Oh, and then the ironic part, they were from Houston. They were, they grew up the next major exit from where I grew up. I was like, lovely.
Yeah, but yeah, all the things you have to deal with, guys, coming out here. Like I said, it's not the work. The beet harvest was great. We had fun. We had fun meeting. Yeah. We had fun meeting the people that were on our pile, people on other piles, because you will eventually have days where you have to go to other piles because they'll shut down your piler, and they'll distribute you, and 2 you go here, the other 3 go there, or 1 person over here, and you help out the other pilers that are in operation. Because I don't know what the rhyme or reason is, but they work certain piles through certain times during the harvest for whatever reason. They want to finish this one or they want to finish that one, and once we get through with these, then we'll work to that one. So we ended up working different pile stations while we were there and helping out different crews. So it's fun meeting the people. It was an easy task. It wasn't difficult. It does challenge you a little bit. But what you have to mentally be prepared for is the elements, day or night. The elements are what is going to do you in if you're not prepared mentally for this. Physically and mentally, because you have to stay warm. You're going to have to stay warm. There's just no 2 ways about it. Unless you're from this area and you know how to dress and you have the right, things to dress in. Even then, the people that were helping us out and our supervisors and the foremans, they were still cold, and they're from this area. They're from North Dakota, and they were still cold. So yeah, it's different working out there in the elements. You're in the actual exposed elements.
Now I'll tell you that again, we're not in winter at all. We're still barely getting into fall. I've heard from the people that live in the area, the temperatures get anywhere from -20 to -90 below in the winter. So keep that in mind. That's how cold it was out here. Be prepared.
Are we going to do it again? Yeah, probably. If we have to, like I said, if you know, we're hoping on something, and if it doesn't come through, then yes, we're going to be coming back. The money is good. That's all I'm going to say. The money is very well worth it. I don't know what else to say about that. It's just, if you work the season, and even if you did do it in 2 weeks, and if you're prepared, you bring everything you need, and you're prepared for the 2 weeks, you're still going to be walking away with a decent amount of money. Like I said, we're resting now. We're in South Dakota. We're going to stay another day at this park. This is the first park we've gotten to since we've left the campground. We stayed 3 days at a friend's house in Minot, North Dakota, which was a very pretty town. They were very hospitable, very good hosts. And you know, it was nice being there, and I'm very glad and fortunate we had that opportunity to hang out and meet these people. This is our first campground outside of that, and we're going to be here for a little while. We have this entire park to ourselves. It's beautiful, and we're just winding down, and we're going through Wyoming, a little bit more South Dakota, Wyoming. We got some stuff we want to look at, you know, do the tourist thing. Colorado, look around there, and then New Mexico, and then back into West Texas. Looking for a gig. We have a couple of things lined up that we're going to look into to get ready for working again. Like I said, this is our downtime for a little while, maybe about 2 weeks. 2 weeks downtime. But yeah, we did procure enough money to look for a piece of land. So we are going through Colorado to go check out the landscape of Colorado. I've never been to Colorado. I want to see what it looks like there, to see, we found a piece of land there, so we're going to see what happens there. And if not, we're looking at New Mexico or West Texas for a piece of land as well. So we'll be hopefully getting into that soon and be ready to start running and gunning, working. And if, like I said, if we have to come back up here to North Dakota, I'm pretty sure we're going to do it again, especially since we'll be on days. It won't be as cold, and we're a lot more prepared this time. I think it'll be fun and a different experience working daytime. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, this was Beet Harvest 2025. Drayton, North Dakota is where we were in the big yard. We were middle yard. There's north, south, middle. We did love the experience of working the beet harvest. We are very grateful to Express and American Crystal Sugar, for allowing us to have this experience with them. Like I said, our supervisor, Terry, Day was Ian, great guy, very funny, bad jokes, great guy. Our crew number one for pile number one was the best crew. We were number one. We made a lot of friends off of there, and a lot of like-minded people we found through this experience, and we are very, very grateful for that. Sandy, our operator, Steve, our boom operator, Shakia, our ground crew cohort. She kept us running and gunning. She kept us on our toes all the time. So we are very happy that we met all of them, and everybody else that we encountered there at the Beet Harvest, at American Crystal Sugar, Express, Ruth Ann, Ramona, her husband, well, I forgot his name, but he's an artist as well. Dot to Thoughts is his Facebook.
Thoughts to Dots.
Thoughts to Dots. Basically, he's an artist that does dots and makes these very elaborate pictures just using, I don't know if he's pencil or pen or what, but he just, it's a whole bunch of dots. Millions and millions and millions of dots, and he creates this image out of the dots, and it's freaking awesome. Yeah, we just met so many great people, and we're very fortunate to have this opportunity. We're very grateful to be able to look around now and have some downtime. And like I said, in about another week and a half or so, we're ready to start running and gunning, get our next gig, and see where we go from there. Alrighty guys, thank you very much for joining us today. Coffee, Anxiety, and Love. Like I said, this was the follow-up to the Beet Harvest 2025. A lot of things that I think people need to know before they come out here. And I hope you find this information very, very helpful, useful. And like I said, if you do decide to do Beet Harvest next year for 2026, look us up. We'll be out there. I am Shelly Rivera. This is CJ Rivera. We will definitely see you